So Toffee has been, all the debris that Stephen's been digging up over the last few weeks, Toffee has been bringing and placing in small strange little piles, look. But it's sort of laid out a little bit like a serial killer would lay things out. I'm wondering whether Toffee in a previous life was a serial killer, the way she sort of guards bones and is territorial about stuff. So yeah, that's been displayed like that by Toffee. And as you can see on the lawn, lots of little, is it ash trees? Still sprouting up. So that root there is still the main culprit. That's still generating this sort of Day of the Triffids like reach under the lawn. But at least Stephen's got rid of the other ones over there. But yeah, at some point that's going to need to come out. I've just realised that when I look at, the progress we're making is all about kind of planning and structure and landscaping and prepping it. I just realised that if I'd committed myself to all of the madness of growing veg, we'd have not got any of this done.
Of course we wouldn't.
Well, because I'd have been concentrated on 2 stupid little bloody raised beds.
Exactly.
Yeah, and once we've structurally done this, I can grow veg over there. I mean, you can't even begin to imagine the front garden since Stephen's done all this. What was I going to say? So what I'm going to do is, as you can see, I'm moving from here through there, just relentless, just de-weeding. And then see those 2 buckets over there that I grew the courgettes in last year? I'm going to get the soil from them and I'm going to chuck that on here so that you have a fresh bed here as well. So my best plan is to get just halfway across here. Meanwhile, Nanny Di is the gnome.
To go that way or that way?
No, come towards me.
Okay.
Come towards me, Mum. I know you want him to beat a hasty retreat. Do you like my military analogies? Oh, look. That's the finger she's giving me there.
I'll say I'm not doing the finger properly.
Well, no, the girls don't think you are. It's a real heads down elbow grease. True meaning of the word elbow grease, this, look. So you can see right down to this corner. I've kind of cleared it of everything. I'm just trying to get towards Nan. I've got to go through that mound over there. It is like a military operation. But let's go and see how Nan's doing it, because I'm going for the push the trowel under the weed, leverage it up. My mum's going for the grab it by the scruff of the neck, pull it, and then not remember where the weed roots are.
The weed roots are everywhere, so if you just clear each patch and keep going back to the patch. See, look, you can see the bloody... I just think with a trowel you can't get deep enough.
You can get deeper than your hands.
No, I know, but you use your hands first and then... Oh, God. I've got to stop doing this. It's exhausting.
Well, you're going to give yourself a hand. Well, hang on. Look.
No.
That's a no. So look,
No,
there's
no, don't go away. Go away.
So go
Literally,
in there.
Take this and get your heart out and put your heart on the thing, and then we'll have another mark beating away.
Oh, that sounded good.
Thank you.
Say hello, Subs.
So, I don't mean it when I say about his heart. I wouldn't want his heart here, really. It's very annoying.
My mum's just threatened to dig my heart out with a trowel.
Yeah, if he doesn't shut up and let me weed. You imagine, Stubbs, my age, 70 years old, and he's telling me after gardens all my life that I don't know how to weed.
No, you do know
Yes,
how to
he
weed.
was.
I'm trying to help you. Gonna go back down this end. Don't get cross. She can be ferocious when she gets cross. Weeding's a funny thing for me, because I remember I was down at my nan and granddad's when Dad had one of his many sort of mini heart attacks, didn't he? Pulling an enormous weed. And there was something, I mean, he was laughing about it afterwards, saying how ridiculous it was. But apparently he was tugging and tugging and tugging, and then he flew and he pulled a muscle that then pulled something else. So you do have to be careful. Weeding is quite a... And if you think you're head down, dizzy...
You're putting all your strength into it as well.
Yeah.
So,
So it's funny, whenever I'm weeding, I often think of Dad. It's like weeding and Sainsbury's. I think of Dad. Isn't that weird?
yes.
And whenever anyone says the word butterscotch, he used to have those... Remember, he used to have those in cardboard packets of butterscotch in little kind of silver foiled packets.
Yeah.
Delicious, delicious.
Oh, I always think of Fox's Glacier Mint with Dad.
Yes, he used to have Fox's. He used to always give me Fox's Glacier Mint in the car. That's right. I just found a couple of worms. Don't you love it when you find a worm? Makes me think of Shakespeare. Is it Hamlet when he talks about being put in the earth and then kings are like men.
Yeah.
We eat of the kings. The worm eats of the king and it eats of us, and so we pass through the belly of a king and all that.
We're all the same.
I love that. I love that. The worm is the great equaliser, unless, of course, a great big fucking crow comes down and eats it. Yeah, Mum's just reminded me. Dad always used to say, what would he say?
Wherever you see holly, pull it up. It's invasive as it's possible.
I remember we used to walk through the New Forest in Birmingham, and he'd push old trees down.
Forest in Birmingham.
Yeah, the New Forest. It was called the New... No, in Birmingham. There was a new... He called it the New... No, was it the New Wood or the Old Wood?
Okay.
And he used to go in there and he used to push dead trees over. He used to get so excited about it. I remember as a kid thinking, he's weird. No, it was sweet, but weird. But he'd always say, pull up the holly, and we'd spend ages pulling up. He was well into pulling things up, wasn't he?
Yeah.
I mean, no wonder he kept having heart attacks pulling up weeds. But Mum was just reminding me of how, you know, as young kids, we tend to experiment all of our behaviour on animals. I'm not going to talk totally about how I was caught once hurting my rabbit. Not fond of it at all, but Nanny Di corrected me in that. But I remember when I was home alone, I used to get the fish out of the fish bowl in my hand, all wet and slippery, go and hide under my bed, put it on the floor in front of my head and watch it flap. Is that normal? And then I'd hear someone coming back, or who I thought was coming back, and I'd run back into the other room and I'd put it back in the bowl. And of course it would just...
A pine needle from the Christmas tree the fish was speared on it. It went through it like diagonally, and it was like this.
Do you really want to know what that was about?
What was it about?
I'd seen The Omen, where David Warner's vicar gets skewered by the spire.
Yeah, okay, he gets decapitated, doesn't he?
No, I think someone gets skewered by a spire.
Yeah.
And
That was why.
I thought I'd enact it on a fish. I skewered a fish on a pine needle.
Do you remember that time I went out and we got a budgie at that point, and we got the two dogs, and Daly got hold of George, actually the budgie, in her mouth.
Yeah, but didn't kill it.
And she didn't kill it. And
She
then
didn't kill it.
The bird was on the floor, and it was wet from her mouth.
Wet and injured, but it survived. George was a right old battler, wasn't he?
He was.
In fact, George, my father figure for many years, was a budgie called George.
Yeah.
He was a solid rock-like figure, could survive the mouth of a Labrador. I mean, he just didn't take any bullshit, George.
He didn't. Oh. And they're always cheerful budgies. That's what
Well, cheerful, they just go on and on and on and on and on and on. I mean, I could have throttled him at times, probably did. Just talking about squirrels.
Yeah.
Go on.
And it's just funny just thinking about, because I worked on an eating disorders ward for girls between 12 and 19. And this isn't a word of an exaggeration. We had the fattest squirrel you have ever seen, because all the girls used to put their food out of the window.
Really?
The squirrel just used to come. He was so fat he couldn't climb trees.
How
he
funny.
used to gallop across. I know.
Oh
it was
my
hysterical.
God, that's so fun. God, Mum, you don't half look like Vincent van Gogh.
I feel like Vincent.
It'd be like who? Vincent van Gogh.
Vincent van Gogh, I feel like.
Do you want to make a cup of tea?
Yeah, actually. I am.
Looking for a way out.
Shut up!
Looking... Yeah. It's a definite edge, isn't there?
Yeah.
It's a definite edge.
Yeah.
It's like a scene from Mordor, as the darkness of Sauron or Saruman or whatever his bloody name is, and the ring spreads against Mordor, heading towards the Shire. Of course, the Shire is the house, and Nanny Di, because she's a hobbit. And there, the analogy runs adrift. How do you think we're doing?
Yeah, that's really good.
Oh, it's really hot. Take it again. And I'll take the handle. Thank you. Looking good?
Oh,
You know, you must stop hunching your shoulders up, Mum. Like you tell me. That's it. That's much better.
I know.
Takes at least 3 years off you.
I know it does.
Yeah. You doing well? Are you winning over there, or?
I'm not doing anything over here.
No, I know. You made a nice cup of tea, though. Well done.
I've also made a bundle of stuff.
Yeah, but you've only pulled the tops off.
Fuck off! Sorry. I was putting weeds up when you were not even thought of.
Doubt it, Mum. You were barely out of school.
True.
God, Mum, this is like an idyllic picture. Sit there and look at us. Give us a peace sign.
Which one, love?
Give us the peace sign, like Churchill.
Is that right?
Yeah. God, you look.
Idyllic.
Why don't you just sit there?
Because I can't, because my son is like a raving lunatic.
Oh, butterfly. Is that a cabbage yellow? What are they called?
What could be cabbage white?
Is it a cauliflower white?
Cabbage white! Are you doing that deliberately?
No, I thought it was a beetroot blue. I thought it was a lettuce lemon.
Oh, right, then.
Oh, look at Chi-Chi. I feel like we're getting closer, Mum. Marginally.
Maybe that's
Look, Subs. Look. Okay, well, obviously that corner was already done, but look, all of this. Get in there. Get in there. Get in there. Just trying to pull that up now. Hope I don't give myself a heart attack. Winning. Just pulled that up, but got a blister. Got a blister on my hand. These really hurts, and it's where I pushed the trowel into the ground. So do I proceed and become a real man and toughen that blister up by just repeatedly pushing the trowel in? Or do I, like a namby-pamby Islington wanker, run off into the kitchen and say, come on girls, let's all go to Nando's? Which is it? Which do you think I'm going to go for? That's how my brain feels. You're careening around, you're all over the place. Like a slalom driver. You're slaloming like Formula. I mean, much slower, obviously.
Oh, I missed that big bit out there.
Of course you have. Of course you've missed that great big bit out, because you don't have a system. You don't do systems.
My approach is not going well.
Well, your approach, it all looks green still, because you're not getting underneath anything, you're just pulling.
Say that word one more time, not getting
Which
underneath. And I will
You need to get
literally
underneath
throw
stuff.
this at your head.
You do
Look,
need-
in my part of the garden, I've got things like
No,
that
it's-
rose bush. I've got 4 different. Look at that bramble. There.
Where?
There.
Oh yeah, no, that's bad.
And
But
there's one. There's another.
You've done round it really well.
I've
that's
tried
what you-
to,
it's
but-
this stuff. What's all this? Green here, green.
That's where my seat was.
Your what?
This is where my chair was.
And then over here. You don't see what happens off camera when she runs at me with pitchforks and stuff like that. Vicious woman. She calls in minions of bees to sting me on the face. She threatens to cut my heart out with a trowel. She threatens to fork me in the eye. It's just terrible. She's a terrible woman. She gets secateurs and threatens to turn me into a eunuch. That's my mum for you, feminist.
My problem is I can't work from A to B.
A to B.
I can only work from A to X to N to P to Q, and then all the way back again to B, which means that I never
Well, I
get.
think you're making some progress. I just need to go over it all again. Look how beautifully red those leaves are behind you on that.
Yeah, pretty, aren't
Look at the
isn't it?
apples above your head, Mum.
Wow!
Look at that thing on your nose.
Wow!
Chi-Chi, what do you think? Are we making any progress?
Chi-Chi says, just give me some food, will you?
I'm pleased with those bougainvillea coming back. Subs, I didn't know they came back twice.
No, I didn't. Sorry. Oh, now I've gone a bit faint.
Look.
Hold on. Yeah, right, go.
No, just look.
Oh! Oh, good boy. Pull that one up. That's a.
Is
bloody
that a reed? I
bramble.
thought that was a rose.
This one?
Sticking up.
No, you can always tell by the leaves, you dimwit.
It's the same leaves as the rose.
No, it's not.
Is it not?
So that one
That
and
not
that one, both brambles. That's the rosy.
We should bring those 2 other dead roses and plant them over here as well. Getting them in the soil rather than in those.
Yeah, except then we've got another thing that we don't know whether it's going to grow or not, that we're going to be working, because this isn't going to just stay unweeded.
No,
I
no,
mean,
I
by
know.
the time we get to say like September, October, there's going to be another load of weeds.
Oh, yeah, well,
so
no,
we
but-
have to know what we're pulling up and where, because I'm already finding that sometimes it's difficult to know. I mean, that's the reason I seem reluctant when you're saying, oh, we'll just let's plant some of the stuff
no,
we've
but
got,
look,
is
what I'm
that
saying is-
I don't want to by accident in a
Of course
time to
not.
come pull up.
But as long as you don't pull anything up, then we'll be fine.
Why?
Because you don't remember anything that goes in. So, for example, over here, it's completely clear. You could put in any number of things over there knowing that it's what it is.
Are you deliberately trying to sound like a complete wanker? Because that's exactly what it sounds like. Sound like I know what I'm doing and you don't. Basically, is what you're saying,
No,
isn't it?
it's
That's a bit scary if you think that's a red. Look at the difference in the.
Yeah, I suppose darker, isn't it, the rose leaf?
Everything.
All right.
This is what. This
Look,
is
we're
what,
turning on each other within 5 minutes. So you're even suggesting I start it?
Start what?
The relentless fighting.
You do. Your way is the right way, and my way is the highway, as they say, or whatever it is.
I think.
I admit that I don't do A, B, C, D, but I do A, X, N, B. It doesn't really get me anywhere.
It means you're going round in circles, Mum.
It does. Now,
Don't pull that up.
I was going to say, can you see what that is?
That is a rose.
It is a rose. You can see the difference. Thank God for that. I'm going to carry on.
We have to leave each other alone. Thank God we're at opposite ends of this bed. So, subby wubbies. I just keep loving that in the back of shot. I know it's brown now, but it will be full of verdant colour by next year. Let's have a look at Nanny dye. So we're about to go and get some lunch. We're going to go and get Nando's because we're just like that. Oh, Mum, it looks good. Oh,
Here it looks better, doesn't it?
oh, it does, Mum.
Yeah.
I mean, the problem with your bit is that you've got lots of little bits of green, so it doesn't have the overall impact.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's looking great.
It is, isn't it?
I mean,
it is moving along slowly.
it is moving along
slowly than
It's
you.
a lovely colour, isn't it? Those geraniums.
Oh, bless.
But then you come down here. Don't forget that's the dead poppy that we're keeping. And then look.
See, for some
Whoa!
reason
Look
you
at that. Because do you want to know why mine looks more complete than yours?
Well, you seem to be able to go through everything instead of leaving some things. Like
Because I
do.
keep going underneath and
Well,
lifting.
I keep going underneath.
No, you're pulling from the top, Mum. I don't know how many times to tell you this. The fruits of our labour are plain to see.
Ooh, that's a good phrase.
There you go.
Can you hear? That's a robin.
Oh, he's waiting for
That's
those.
a robin.
There's about three
Oh,
worms there
bless
that
him.
have
He's
got.
saying, "Come on, mates,
Yeah.
they're about to go
Okay.
for lunch."
Let's head in and have lunch. In a normal sort of cottage type, sort of English pastoral scene, we'd go in and we'd have, I don't know, a cup of tea and sandwiches and a
Ploughman's.
and the ploughmans and things like that. But what are we going to do? We can go to Nando's in Streatham. Nando's in Streatham. I do like just winding her up because I find that if you wind my mum up a bit, she'll put in a bit more elbow grease. It's the only way you can increase productivity in any diet by just kind of, bantering with her. But I'm going to flip this round because you can really see the difference I think we're making. So it's just that main hump of stuff there. If you see over there, you see, that's where I've kind of drawn a line there. We've got that hump to do there. And then Nanny dye has been doing around here. And that's quite good. And really what we're trying to do is clear as much as we can so we can put some of those plants that I bought over there, supplant them in there. Obviously we're going to wait to put the aces in this bed here. But 2 layered beds, I mean it almost looks landscaped, doesn't it? Almost looks landscaped. When I remember, do you remember, Subs? Do you remember how that path was so dark and you had to bend to go through it? And there was, I think a year and a half ago, there was Izzy and Kiki clearing it with a rake and stuff. What a transformation. We should have a look back actually at some of the old green-fingered hell films, shouldn't we?